The Loud House. What can be said about this show? It was a major hit when it first came out, being the first ever Nicktoon to beat SpongeBob in the ratings. For nearly 2 decades, SpongeBob was unstoppable. No one was able to beat the highest rated Nicktoon. Then this show did it, and there's a reason why it did. It had a great cast of characters. While the show had a male protagonist, most of the main characters were female, which was something that Nickelodeon barely did at the time, or still do, sadly. At one point in time, it was actually my favorite Nicktoon, because it felt like a new era for Nickelodeon, with these fun, simple plots that were enriching, as if the dark age of Nickelodeon was finally over. They even had open LGBT characters, not just random background characters or innuendos to appeal to China and Russia, or just whatever Disney does. Actual open LGBT characters. One of the sisters, Luna, was an open bisexual.
See you later, Sam.
Okay, see ya!
Even going so far as them saying the word date.
This is your first date, isn't it? You must be so nervous.
Nah, just stoked. I know Sam and I are gonna be perfect for each other.
This show was great at showing what a big family was like. As the theme song says, 1 boy, 10 girls, wouldn't trade it for the world. It was interesting and fun seeing how a family of 11 kids and 2 parents got along. They showed the struggles, but they also had fun. This show was near perfect for its first year and a half. And then we find out the creator of the show, Chris Savino, sexually harassed over a dozen different women for over a decade. Yeah, I had to talk about that elephant in the room eventually. Might as well be at the beginning of this review. This led to many people wanting the Loud House to be canceled. Canceling this show on those merits are stupid. It's like when people tried to cancel the Ren and Stimpy reboot because of people assuming that John K was a pedophile. I am not a pedophile, and I do not support acts like that. I would say that's a universally agreed statement that every adult would agree, but I unfortunately know too much about the real world to know that's not the case. When these people get out, you have to remember that the shows that they worked on are usually done by hundreds of people. It's not a one-man show. But I understand why people try to get these shows canceled. They think supporting these shows means that you're supporting those awful creators, when that is not true. If that was the case, there would be many pieces of media not with them. Also, for the Ren and Stimpy reboot, John K was gonna not have anything to do with it. Bob Kent, I believe, was more working on it. You know, the guy that made Ren and Stimpy good. People like Rebecca Sugar need to do more research next time. Yes, the creator of Steven Universe tried to get that reboot canceled, which is ironic to me, considering that her main show suggests supporting these kinds of awful people. Supporting the Loud House did not mean that you were supporting Chris Savino sexually harassing women. You were just supporting the rest of the people on the show and the great art that they created. Although I actually don't know who is technically running the Loud House right now, because they don't really show the credits on who it is. Please correct me if you know the answer. Because of Chris Savino, I had a hard time defending the show at first. Of course now I have no defenses, but let's talk about the 3 episodes that I thought were truly amazing. Sure, the Loud House had more than just 3 amazing episodes. I still think the Butterfly Effect is an amazing episode to this day. But then I remember that that Dream episode is more realistic than any modern Loud House episode, which is not a good sign. Although, each episode that I do want to defend now, I can't because of some unfortunate implications. The first was Under Pressure. That episode was the first episode that I finally enjoyed Lola. Her evilness and rudeness was put to the test, and it finally looked like she was gonna move on from that bratty self of hers and not just be another DW. And that was really nice to move on from. But I scrapped that review because of me realizing that a child wants to spend most of their episode in his underwear. I don't have to tell you why that's creepy and wrong, right? Not helping is that Lincoln wants to be in his underwear in front of a bunch of girls. Like, if he was alone, I could maybe buy that, but I can't. Oh, and also Lisa likes to study her family's shit.
And Lisa, you always do your weird poop studies.
It's quite fascinating work.
100% of humans do not like shit, Lisa. So you're not a human at that rate. You're honestly more closer to a dung beetle. I think you might be the one person in existence that might like The Lion King 2019 more than The Lion King 1994. There was the episode A Tailor's Tale, which was my favorite episode when I first watched the show. You know, before I stopped liking it. Lola was finally 100% fixed at the time. Finally being able to tell the truth and take the fall for her sisters and brother for all the torment that she put them through. And she ended up being my favorite sister on the show, with maybe the exception of Lucy Loud. You know, before Lucy wanted to end her life became her fetish. But that episode was also teaching that it's good to keep secrets about others' misdeeds from an authority figure. You know, like how Chris Savino never told anyone about the women he sexually harassed for an entire decade. Also, that episode was when the Louds had small secrets. Like the worst they did was accidentally scratch a car, instead of hiding bodies of innocent people in their attics. How about L is for Love? That's a good episode on LGBT representation. Oh yeah, Sam is barely ever used in the show after that episode. Only 2 or 3 episodes at best. And the rest she's just there, barely doing anything in the episode. Should I also mention that Chris wrote the MLP episode Stairmaster? How there was an inappropriate joke about Twilight being stoned and a snail dragging slime across her uncomfortably? Chris Savino had to, as part of his plea bargain with the Animation Guild, order to donate $4,000 to a charity chosen by the Guild, complete 40 hours of community service, undergo counseling, and obtain a certificate of sexual harassment training. And the only thing that we heard of Chris Savino since was how in October of 2019, he became a born-again Christian. It's not like Nickelodeon had another controversial figure that became a born-again Christian right before him by a full year, but we'll talk about Butch Hartman more this Halloween. If you wish to hear more about this Chris Savino scandal, listen to this thing from Full Frontal with Samantha Bee, part called #MeToo. Some people like to state that when a person becomes controversial, it means that their works could now have unfortunate implications, and the Loud House is no exception.
Hey, Linky, I brought you something. A short stack from your favorite short stack. You should never make a big decision on an empty stomach.
A short stack is a nickname given to a sexy, short, fat woman. This statement is being said by Lola, a 6-year-old, on a show for kids. To be fair, Lola was holding a bunch of pancakes. It doesn't matter. Because of Chris Savino's controversy, that's what the general public is gonna see with that scene now. Generally, when these public controversies happen, I try my best to avoid talking about them. Because not only do they usually make me uncomfortable, but I'm not the best at dealing with these subjects. It's why I didn't talk about the Dan Schneider controversy with Jeanette McCurdy from last month. Because it's too depressing and I wouldn't know how to word myself properly. It's a Google search away to learn about that disaster. Same thing on why I haven't watched Luck yet, because of John Lasseter. And I never talked about Chris Chan for a similar reason, or Cosmodor, or Vic Mignogna, or those Amphibia artists, and I can go on with examples that make me uncomfortable. I need to bring this up because, while I am glad that Chris Savino got fired and deserves to stay fired, I feel like at the same time he is the reason why the Loud House remained red hot in ratings, and was once upon a time a good show. But then again, these bronze disappeared after Chris Savino left, right?
Wear lucky underwear? Check.
Nope, they're still there. This is from today's episode that I'm reviewing on Ryanimation Reviews. 5 seconds. 5 seconds into the episode was the first time that I had to quit. I never quit watching a piece of animation 5 seconds in before. I had to watch this episode 3 separate days just to get through it when this first came out, because it was that bad. And that image is why I quit right away, because that came in 5 seconds in. Do you hear that? I hear Majora's Mask for some reason. Before we really start diving into the Loud House, let me be the first to say, what the fuck happened to this show? This show has gone significantly downhill. Season 5 and 6 are so beyond repair. They just might be the worst seasons of any show that I have ever seen. In fact, the whole show itself just gets worse and worse every time I see it. I don't even know where to start. The best way to sum up the show's problems as a whole is that the characters act like assholes for 10 minutes straight. Then do 1 minute of, I'm sorry. And then the last 10 seconds have them acting like assholes again. That's the most basic description that I can give. Many of the episodes teach terrible morals. They teach that it's good to cheat. Lola is Luann's puppet, and the episode has no self-awareness that this is cheating. Same with its sister episode when Leni cheats on her driving test. Once again, no self-awareness. I've watched every single episode of The Loud House, up to season 6, the current season, and the plots have gone ridiculous. They had stories about mental abuse, rivalries, time travel. Time travel? Are you fucking serious? Stories about robots coming to life, ghosts, Christmas Carol parodies. Oh, and one episode teaches that you should drown out your critics, even though not listening to critics and not accepting criticism is how you end up degrading and going downhill. Wasn't this show meant to be down to earth and realistic like Hey Arnold? Now it's like Bunsen is a beast, where it's unrealistic and bounces off the walls and can't stay focused. The Mighty Bee was more consistent than this show. Heck, Bunsen at least had nicer characters. So the Loud House episode that I'm reviewing today is called Schooled. With school in the real world resuming as summer is now ending at the time of this original upload, I figured that it was finally time to review this episode. It's about 2 years old anyway. Normally this would fit better for a season finale review, but since Project Reboot made me restart my entire series, I figured, why wait? I have something else planned for the season 1 finale anyway. For those that don't remember what this one is about, or just don't flat out never saw it, this is the episode that Lincoln goes to Canada. Immediately I know what your defense is. Because actual Canadians wrote this episode, it means that everything Canadian is fine. This is a bullshit defense. Anyone has the ability to critique anything. If a black person wrote Song of the South, would that automatically make it good? No, it wouldn't. Or how about the Chinese cat from the Aristocats? If a Chinese person wrote it, would it automatically be good? No, it's not. Racism literally means to be racist, and white people can be racist to white people, just like how you could be a man and be sexist towards men, and saying that all men are inferior to women. Some people like to state that there's no reason to talk about the Loud House anymore because other people talked about it. I don't fully agree with that for 2 reasons. One is that there are still new episodes airing, and 2 is that people all have different opinions. With that all said, bring it on!
Welcome to Canada.
On second thought, I'm not ready to talk about the episode yet. Why don't we talk about animation as a whole in 2022? I'd say the Loud House went through seasonal rot, but it had to be good first, and honestly, I'm kind of surprised I liked it back then. And the quality isn't a little bit like SpongeBob's So-So era. I mean full-on downward spiral like the Fairly Odd Parents. But what makes the Loud House stick out like a sore thumb is that the rest of animation as a whole in 2022 has been amazing. About 95% of it is really good. It might just be one of the best years in animation history. Heck, it might be my favorite year in animation ever. It's definitely a lot better than the past 2 years of animation. For shows that are new in 2022, we had Smiling Friends, which felt like the direction that adult cartoons should go. Also, Gilbert Gottfried is God. The Cuphead show felt like a classic 30s or 40s cartoon brought to today's audience. Spy Family finally showed that you can have a healthy family relationship even if the characters in question are not related by blood, and it just happens to be my favorite anime of all time. Scrat Tales is basically how you should continue the Ice Age franchise, just with Scrat. Dead End Paranormal Park showed perfect LGBT representation for children with a funny dark sense of humor to boot as well. Baymax had a really good episode about dealing with periods similar to Turning Red. Hamster and Gretel feels like the perfect successor to Mama Murphy's Law, and it's even funnier than Phineas and Ferb. Even returning shows like SpongeBob, The Patrick Star Show, Amphibia, Big City Greens, Ghost of Molly McGee, South Park, and Family Guy have been at the top of their games. The Amphibia series finale is my favorite animation of all time. SpongeBob in the present is even funnier than its first 3 seasons. The Patrick Star Show is the best Nicktoon show since SpongeBob. Big City Greens and Ghost and Molly McGee still continue the funny Disney family. Family Guy Season 20 was their best season ever, with probably the funniest jokes I've ever seen in an adult cartoon. South Park finally came back to being amazing after 5 years of it being garbage. And movies have been great. Turn Red, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, Bob's Burgers Movie, The Rise of Gru, The Bad Guys. Even Lightyear I thought was good. Sure, there are some bad in all categories, like Fairview, Barzar, The Owl House Season 2 was worse than Season 1, Simpsons Season 33 was their worst season ever, 2 My Little Pony G5 shows, another Boss Baby cartoon, Fairly Odder, the Proud Family reboot, and the less said about Ice Age Buck Wild, the better. But the bad has been very little this year, and the bad stuff that we have is not the worst I've seen in animation, with the exception of Buck Wild and The Loud House. Seriously, I think I'm like the only big animation critic that seems to really love this year. Everyone else that's big just doesn't give a shit, or hasn't bothered to go out and search for animations in 2022. But for The Loud House, what does it have? Each of the defenses that you can give it, I saw a new cartoon in 2022 do it better. Here's some good dark comedy from Smiling Friends.
I'm Mr. Frog. This is my show. I ate the bug. I ate the bug. This is the end. I love you.
And here's the terrible dark comedy in The Loud House in 2022.
Well, this has been a gas.
Here's a beautiful family moment from Spy Family.
I'm so happy to finally have a mama!
Mama?
I'm gonna help you.
And here's how the family is acting in the Loud House in 2022.
Okay, you can change it back. Change it back!
Here's LGBT rep from Dead End Paranormal Park, a full-on musical. And here's the LGBT rep in the Loud House in 2022.
Well, thank goodness our fur babies are so well behaved.
As you might imagine, the Loud House has a lot of problems. I think Flippy has more screen time than Sam, even though Sam is supposed to be Luna, i.e. one of the main characters of the show's love interest, and yet Flippy has no connection to the main characters. Every even year from now on, I'm going to be doing a garbage essay, where I take a look at a terrible TV show and talk about why it fails for over an hour. And every odd year, I will talk about a good show for over an hour positively. Since it's 2022, that means that it's an even year. Why am I not doing an essay on the Loud House this year?
Is that your sister?
It's me, actually.
You are a girl?
I'm transgender.
Because High Galleon Spice volunteered to go first. The Loud House I'll do in 2024, and this video here won't be the last time that I talk about the Loud House before that video. Just so that the essay doesn't end up being over 10 hours long, I figured that it's best to do some Loud House reviews to help get some of my points across early and not have to wait for the essay to talk about it there, and that way the essay will only need to be 2 hours long in total. You ever realize that each of the Louds are embarrassed by each other?
What are you guys doing here?
Mom and Dad dropped all of us off so they could run errands.
Go!
If the Louds don't even care about each other, why should we, the audience, care? It's sad that I'm going back to negative reviews again. Throughout all of August, I did nothing but positive videos. I reviewed things that were just fun. 5 funny videos in a row. Unfortunately, to stay relevant in this world, you do also have to talk about the bad. As much fun I would love to talk about Smiling Friends, Spy Family, and Paranormal Park before I enjoy the present, I first need to fix my past. And immediately after this Ryanimation review, I'm re-reviewing DC's Superhero Girls #Frenemies. Yes, we're going there again. So we'll talk about school first here. Oddly enough, I'm gonna start talking positively about this episode. So this episode has the Louds all aged up by 1 year. This is for the season 5 premiere. On one hand, that's admirable. One problem with shows that go on for too long is that they keep the characters the same age, making them go in seasonal rot, and it always feels like the best way to fix any of those shows would be to age up the characters. Shows like The Fairly OddParents and The Simpsons had this problem the most. Family Guy at least made changes to Stewie as a whole in the future, and Meg actually did become an adult later on in the show, and SpongeBob at least had most of his characters ageless. The Loud House aging up its characters seems to be the best general direction of the show. We've all seen what their life has been like for 4 years now. About half a decade. It's starting to get old. Lori starts college and leads the titular Loud House. Leni is now the oldest sibling in school and at the house. Lincoln starts middle school now and Louis starts preschool. I want to make myself clear. These are all good plot promises, and I can see these all working well. I know, that sounds stupid, but let me explain. Characters growing up is a really important life lesson. We all grow up, and we all die. It's nice to see characters develop. Like, when we watch any show that stars kids, we all think to ourselves what they're gonna eventually be like as adults. At least I had these thoughts when I was a child. The Fairly OddParents, before its seasonal rot, gave a pretty good idea with Channel Chasers. On the other hand, they don't really do anything with aging up the characters. Fairly OddParents did more with Poof than this show does with Lily. Lily, speaking of which, is the only character that has a different design now. Everyone else is the same. They don't even look taller. They're using the exact same models as before. Oh, and Louie also had that same problem that the Proud Family reboot had, where now that the baby isn't just a baby but a toddler, we can have them do whatever the plot demands now. It's the Lisa Loud problem all over again. What was the point of aging them up a year if you aren't gonna do anything different with them? I aged the characters up! It means nothing in the end. Spike getting wings and Friendship is Magic had more of an impact to that show than this show does with the Louds aging up a year. I know that the first episode I should not expect everything to change, but I at least would like something, especially since many of the scenarios that they have here could have easily still worked if they were the same age. Lincoln could have easily had a terrible 5th grade teacher. Him getting it in 6th grade doesn't make a difference. Schooled is also the first big special of the show. The Loud House has had plenty of 22-minute specials, but this was the first 44-minute one, meaning that it's a TV movie. And I'm getting a Land Square Pants and Truth or Square vibes here. Who am I kidding? Even they are better than Schooled. Nice way to premiere season 5, by the way. While this episode is supposed to take place after the movie, because of production issues behind the scenes, Netflix complications and the pandemic turned this movie from a theatrical release to streaming, this episode ended up coming first. I honestly prefer the Loud House movie over this. How do I want to tackle this episode? The problem is that it's not organized! It doesn't even feel like one 44-minute episode. It feels more like 4 11-minute episodes mashed together. But even that is too generous for this episode, because this episode has 6 different plots, and none of them are organized, or even the same length. Sage! Where the fuck is my editor? Sage!
Yes?
Do a pie chart or something to organize the plots. I want to organize it better than the actual episode. I'll just let the pie chart determine the order. We'll do Lincoln Loud's plot last since that's the actual main plot, but we'll do the 5 subplots in pie chart order.
You got it.
So first up is Leni Loud's plot. So this is what the plot is about. Leni Loud, a 17-year-old high school senior, thinks that a preschool is her actual school. Oh, this is so beautiful. I remember the fond memories of it now. This joke is amazing. This is something that I will talk about with my friends forever. It'd be up there with classics like Bang Geeks. And when my friends say, remember how funny it was when Leni Loud, a 17-year-old high school student, went to preschool and thought that was her actual school? And then I'll be like, no fucking shit, 17-year-old going to preschool thinking that her actual school is unhealthy! This joke is not funny. I need to explain this now because a lot of people don't get this. Characters being stupid in themselves is not funny. It takes a genius to be stupid. Patrick Star, for example, his stupidity works because it usually affects him and not the other characters. And he's able to be funny with it. If he annoys me, he annoys the characters in said show far more than the real life audience. Leni annoys real people way more. It's just so unfunny and bad. So the first problem with Leni's plot is the fact that the bus driver lets an unidentified stranger onto the bus. Do I have to explain why this is dangerous? Especially with a bus full of preschoolers. I would explain it fully, but I can't due to YouTube advertiser-friendly standards. Wait a minute, I just realized something. Leni implies that she's been going to preschool for a full week. So that means that this bus driver has been taking her there and to home for a full week. I wouldn't blame you for not noticing that. Consider how disorganized this entire episode is.
Is the seat taken?
Oh, that reminds me, this show is gross. The grossest Nicktoon. Ren and Stimpy and even Sanjay and Craig get stereotyped as being this gross. This show has literal shit, snot, farts, odors, and let's just say fetishes shown on the screen. Kid Danger wasn't even this gross. Even if Sanjay and Craig were grosser, I at least was more prepared for it. And that show is at least more about the gross out. The gross out in the Loud House can come in at the most random times. Also, Sanjay and Craig had nicer characters, which is why that show is better than the Garbage House. That booger scene you saw isn't even close to how gross this show gets. South Park did gross out better with PP streaming service, because that at least made fun of celebrities in the process.
Reese Witherspoon is in. Are you in?
Go pee with PP Plus.
The Loud House is gross. There are literally episodes where we see the characters in trash cans, with trash in them. And unlike SpongeBob, it's not meant to be shocking. Lana implies that she loves going into the trash, while SpongeBob was grossed out and only trying to find his name tag. Once again, Lisa with her shit studies, and don't even get me started with Lynn on how she wears gross socks while never getting them clean.
Oh, does this work?
No, nothing about this show works!
And what does this animal do?
Quack, 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 quack.
Do you ever hear a real-life story so ridiculous that it makes you say, how is this possible? Well, that's why I asked here, even if it's fiction. This is just wrong.
Oh, and gosh, this must be shop class. You actually shop. I'm so getting an A.
I would complain about this statement, but then I remember that my actual job is me working in a warehouse going around with a shopping cart collecting medicine. So, good job, Loud House. You got something right.
That new volunteer is delightful. She really relates to the children on their level.
Okay, that only raises more questions. So this teacher here is assuming that Leni is the volunteer student, without ever talking to her. It's not like this couldn't have worked. You could have Leni having a bad week at high school because of Lori leaving, and Lori was the one that got Leni in high school. So Leni is on her own now, and that could create a lot of her own new stresses. You have Lincoln go through a hard week of middle school, so I don't know why you couldn't have Leni do the same, but with high school. I guess the episode is saying that there is supposed to be a volunteer, but we never see the volunteer in question once. It could have been a great rivalry for Leni. Hell, Leni could have heard about taking care of preschoolers in her own high school, and think that acting like a preschooler, she could have thought that was it was all about. But no, let's have Leni think the actual preschoolers are her classmates, and have her do the same thing as them instead of helping them out. I repeat, Leni is 17! Timmy Turner's dad is smarter than this.
Dad, what's with the helmet?
I don't really need it. It's just a fashion choice.
No, I'm not joking. And I'm not taking that statement back. Even in Certifiable Super Sitter, he is still smarter than Leni. Patrick Star is smarter than Leni, even at his worst. If Patrick's dumbest episode is Pet Sir Pat, then this is Leni's dumbest. But Patrick is still Einstein compared to Leni. Is this episode Leni at her worst? Sadly, no. This is definitely Leni at her dumbest, but her worst as an asshole and my least favorite with her is Don't You Forget About Me. That's the episode where Leni tries to prevent Lori from going to college by impersonating her and trying to ruin Lori's reputation. Leni's words, not mine.
What do I have to do to mess up Lori's reputation?
Can your show go through seasonal rot if your show was never good in the first place? Oh, and by the way, this preschool plot isn't even original to Nickelodeon. I know that this show likes to steal plots from other shows, especially SpongeBob, but why would you steal from one of the worst Nick episodes? Surprisingly, it wasn't from SpongeBob that they stole this plot from. It was from My Life as a Teenage Robot. The episode was called I Was a Preschool Dropout, and it's the show's worst episode. I give it a Ryanimation review, but it wouldn't even last 5 minutes. You know what? Let's do a Ryanimation review inside a Ryanimation review. Jenny goes to preschool because she admits to being 5 years old. However, she was designed as a teenager from the start, so it didn't really matter in the end. But then these random school guys capture her and put her in a preschool, where she acts like a brat because she's impatient on waiting for actual 5-year-olds to answer questions. Then she fails to play a game of pretend and says the S word, stupid, and that gets her into trouble. She then goes out to recess to try to get along with the other preschoolers. It does not work as no one wants to be her friend. She then decides to throw a ball and hurt every single child there. The teacher is about to scold her, until the children suddenly now love Jenny because she hurt them all with a ball. They become friends. Then Jenny gets dragged away as Norma reveals that Jenny is designed as a teenage robot, and she's been like this for 5 years. And this causes her to be dragged away by 2 men back to school. The high school, that is. Then 2 preschool students laugh at her when Jenny is away. Episode ends, and the episode is never mentioned again. It's amazing that Leni has devolved into this. Or maybe not, considering that literally the episode right after school, the boss, maybe, Bush Baby, has Leni in charge of all her younger siblings. Minus Lily since she was away. Leni is beyond stupid. But what do you expect from a girl that thinks that preschool is her actual school, when she is a 17-year-old high school senior? And for the record, she still continues to act stupid after this episode. Literally in the next episode, she cuts a dollar bill in half thinking that is what splitting money is like. Excuse me, but could we please get a refresher on how the real best Nicktoon does it?
I needed change for this dollar.
Do you want 4 quarters, or 10 dimes, or 20 nickels, or 100 pennies? Or if you give me a $5 bill, your options are...
All right, goodbye.
And now let's look at how the dumpster fire of the Loud House does the joke.
Okay, guys, you're gonna split the money, and that's final.
That's not how money works!
Just a reminder that the parents thought that Leni was mature enough to be in charge of the house. Literally 1 episode after Leni thought that preschool was where she was meant to be.
That's unhealthy.
There's no reason why this plot has to be here. It is the worst plot of the whole special. It could have and should have been cut, especially since it has zero connections to all of the other stupid plots. And no, it's not funny, it's just plain creepy. Worst of all, because of this unnecessary plot here, it makes the other plots too short. Lincoln's plot could have used more screen time to communicate things, because his plot has things rushed. Lori Loud is also 100% pointless. While it does have a slightly bit more of a connection to the main plot than Leni's plot, you could still cut this plot and nothing would be lost. You know what the rule of 3 in comedy is, right? It's basically when you tell a story, you can only tell a joke 3 times. Like the certain one joke, because doing it 4 or more times will make it unfunny, stale, and repetitive. Lori's plot tells the same joke 5 times. She starts on the quiet floor, then the driving range floor, next is the caddy floor, followed by the sand trap floor, and then finally the water hazard floor. Did you notice that I didn't bother going in depth? That's because it's the same joke 5 times! It's the rule of 3, not the rule of 5! But if you really want me to talk about Lori's plot even more for completion, they're just nothing but stereotypes. I don't even have to state that no golf dorm/college acts like this, right? That should be obvious.
Hi, I'm Maddie, your personal caddy. Now let me see her. Yeah, that's a much better angle. Now, I'd go with this teddy bear.
What is wrong with the caddy one, Lori? Sure, she threw away Lori's teddy bear, but she gave her a bigger and better one. And if it's for personal reasons, then she only did one thing wrong. I would love to have my own caddy to take care of me. Lori acted selfish here. I can't believe she thought that the one with the alligator was better than the caddy. Also, alligators don't reach Michigan. The only actual subplot that has some sort of connection to the main plot is the plot with Lincoln's friends. Okay, I don't know if this is just me, but I really don't like focusing on Lincoln's friends. We'll talk about how boring and unnecessary they are in a minute. First, let's bring up their purpose. Clyde at least was used as a window to the outside world, as in viewed the Loud House as a stand-in for the audience. This worked so well that he ended up starring in the first few episodes of the show. Despite the show advertising the sisters and the Loud House family, and Clyde was nowhere in the promotions. They fixed this so well in season 2 that episodes like Brawl in the Family, where he could have been used, end up making Lincoln look like an idiot and his sisters all annoying assholes. And it looks like season 5 went back to that season 1 problem, as many episodes starred Lincoln and his friends, and not so much his sisters in the titular Loud House. Lincoln's friends are beyond bland. Liam is your country bumpkin who is always on the farm speaking farm slang. He even does that in this episode.
Nothing like farm fresh butter to trap the heat.
Zach is the nerd of the group because of his glasses. Rusty is a creep.
If you need any assistance, let me know. I could pretend to be your dad or an attorney. Since I look like I'm 30 now, you know.
Moving on! And lastly, there's Stella. She is the girl. The most stereotypical girl that I have ever seen in a cartoon. That's all that she is. The girl. She's not even like a love interest. I mean, I guess you don't have to be that cliche, but there's literally nothing else. Oh wait, I forgot. Her first episode was Be Stella My Heart, where Lincoln's friends thought that she was in love with one of them. She's not allowed to express herself. She often just blends in with the background. She doesn't even feel like she belongs in this group. Like the Fam Scam episode. They showed each of the characters with how they're doing the farm life, even if it's 20 seconds. But Stella didn't have a clip, and was the only one to not have a clip. There's nothing to Stella.
I'm just gonna say it. With Lincoln gone, we need a new man, or woman, with a plan.
Except a checkmark for sexism. I would say that I hate her, but honestly, I just feel nothing for her. I wasn't aware that was possible for the show. A character that I just feel nothing. Not anger or disappointment, just emptiness. The only reason that I even memorized her name is because of that Over the Hedge meme. Stella! I can't believe that Haley Shue got stuck with this role. Let's just say that she got a better role after this with Amphibia, where she became the voice of Marcy.
Boom! Just cleared New Game Plus.
No, I'm not joking. Haley Shue voices both. One character that has no emotion, and one character that has every emotion. Marcy is one of the most fun characters in animation, while Stella is one of the most nothing characters in animation. Then again, I don't know why I get surprised by these actor facts anymore, especially since the voice of Hamster on Hamster and Gretel is the same voice as
Launchpad McQuack.
Uh-oh, a classic! Who's a good boy, Gambit? Whatever. If anyone needs me, I'll be in my wheel.
Wait, you can talk?
Speaking of Amphibia actresses, Brenda Song, the voice of Anne, is married to Macaulay Culkin in real life. Yes, that kid from Home Alone.
Without Lincoln, the formation's off.
Oh, I get what the whole point of this plot is. Lincoln's quote-unquote friends are basically gonna continue to say that they miss Lincoln because they can't use them to take advantage of him. Also, I really loved dodgeball in school. No, I wasn't good at throwing, but I was excellent at dodging. I won a lot of my games in school. Maybe Lincoln should get away from these guys and stick to Canada. Then again, right before this special was the movie, where Lincoln gave up an entire kingdom in Scotland just to go back to live with his family in Michigan.
Who wants my grilled cheese?
God, the Devil, and Bob also took place in Michigan. That's a much better show that takes place in Michigan. Knowing you, Rusty, I don't want anything from you because I don't wish to know where your hands have been.
Never trade my cupcakes. Unless Lincoln brings his mac and cheese bites.
After Lincoln tried to sabotage your career, Clyde, why you want anything to do with him? Never mind just food-wise. Oh yeah, that was an episode. Lincoln tried to ruin Clyde's life so that Clyde couldn't live his dream of being a professional chef in France for Lincoln's own selfish needs.
No, without Lincoln, the trade formula is off too.
I think trading school lunches is something so simple that first graders know how to do it. Why am I even complaining about that? This episode shows that 17-year-olds think that preschool is high school, and 12-year-olds can't figure out how to sit on a school bus properly.
We couldn't figure out the bus seating arrangement without you, so we crammed into one.
Why is every character in this show a dumbass, a jackass, or both? Sometimes at the same time!
I'm a wreck!
Why? Sure, your one friend Lincoln is not with you, but you got 4 friends and a very nice teacher with a nice environment. Real middle schoolers would kill for something nice like this. Would I be sad if I didn't have my best friend with me? Yes, but I would try my best to make the most of it without them, because that's how we grow in life. Sometimes we can't always be with our friends.
Whoever can do the most push-ups is the new man with the blizzard.
Challenge accepted.
Here they go again.
What's cringe comedy minus comedy? Oh yeah, cringe.
Lincoln, we're all in home ec together. Oh.
Then just use one phone. Why are all 5 of them using it? This is the plot where I noticed the abundantly noticeable plot holes. Rita and Lynn get locked out of the house here. Next scene of Lynn Loud Sr. has him being inside the house to take Lincoln to Canada. Then his next scene after that is about him trying to figure out how to get inside the house again. So he goes to the chimney. Is this episode just out of order, or they did not proofread the story? Not the only plot hole that I noticed on my most recent watch through though. Leni states on the first day that she didn't go to school because she couldn't find something to wear and stayed home. Lynn and Rita are staying home that day because all the kids are gone and they have the house to themselves. And yet they never bumped into Leni, despite the parents going into all of the rooms of the house. Leni stayed home. I know that scripts on television are often written in just a week, but could you please at least give a little bit of more time for these specials to look over? I understand if this was just a normal throwaway 11-minute episode, but it's not. It's a 44-minute TV movie season premiere. You probably want to put your best foot forward. Oh, that reminds me. Rita and Lynn Sr. are awful parents!
You gotta be ready to listen to your children, even if they have nothing to say.
At least that cockadoodie actually learned at the end that he was wrong. These 2 assholes don't. They might not be as cool as the Turners, but they are dumber. Heck, at least the Turners are done. these two are still getting new episodes. I heard that season 7 they're gonna age up the Louds again by 1 more year.
You know, we have really got this parenting thing down to a science. We're experts.
You know, it's usually a bad sign to claim to be a professional or the best at something. I learned that the hard way, so I know what that's like. In short, I will now criticize everything that you do because, you know, you claim to be experts.
And we have to eat with them both so they don't think we're taking sides.
This review is already long enough. It's already going to be over 1 hour long. So instead of critiquing their entire show habits, let's just focus on this one episode.
I'll give you this cookie.
Bribery will not make your child behave better. And giving an infant solid food is very dangerous as that could lead to choking hazards. If Lily is supposed to have teeth, animate her with more than one fucking tooth!
Lisa, that little genius potty trained herself in like an hour.
Yet still obsesses over studying other people's poop.
Lily's at home forever.
You know, I never understood why Lily wanted to stay home. Leni later in the episode, which is the episode's only explanation on why she went to preschool, shows to Lily that preschool is fun.
Lily, go school!
I don't know how that happened, but I'll take it.
Me too.
We finally got the house, but she's got the car keys.
Yeah, I think Lily could have just learned that on her own. So, the last of the Louds is Lynn Loud Jr. You know how earlier I said I had to stop the episode twice? Lynn's spot was where I stopped the second time originally. Apparently, I didn't even make it a quarter of the way there.
He's almost a quarter of the way there.
This was the part of the episode that made me quit the second time.
Come on, Lynn. This is the worst day of my life. And I have to make it all the way to Bullhoffner's room.
The Hoff? Oh boy, stinks to be you.
Glad to see that you haven't changed after 5 years. You know what's sad? When you leave someone because of how bad of a person that they have become, and then when you check in on them at random 5 years later, they still act their same terrible ways and haven't improved one bit in their life. That's what I feel like with this show. I kind of stopped watching the show all the time in 2017 with the Chris Savino scandal, but I fully gave up at the end of 2019. I only came back when I heard about the special. And that part there was proof that I was glad that I left the show originally. Because Lynn Loud Jr. is the worst! You make Cassandra, ooh, hey, bada bing, look like a good person in comparison. No, I will not take that back. Anyone that calls their own sibling stinkin' is automatically on my shit list. No, not Lisa Loud's shit list, my shit list. You know, Lynn Loud Jr., Nickelodeon's worst character ever. The one who would give possessions back from dead wives because she had a pity party. The one that would beat up her family just for sitting in her spot. Same Lynn who would hurt handicapped people if it meant she could ride a roller coaster. Same Lynn that thought her brother had bad luck and was fine with making him sleep in the doghouse. I heard that a lot of people say that the show has gone downhill, while others think that the show is just fine the way that it currently is. I am definitely the former. And the blame is entirely on Lynn! Sure, there are other characters in the show that are awful, but they either left like Ryan. Okay, there are no other defenses for anyone else. But the point is, they don't get on my nerves as much as Lynn. And Lynn is the sole reason for me quitting this show. And no, I don't blame the actress Jessica DeSico, because she can be talented. She was Candace on Close Enough, a show similar to regular show that's twice as good as that sadly got removed from HBO Max last month. I miss Close Enough.
Candace, look. Yes, we ate the pancakes for dinner.
But besides getting on my nerves, what exactly is the plot for Lynn?
Principal Ramirez made me hall monitor this year, and I will not let her down.
So I'm going to try something new with this review. I'm going to talk about my own real-life personal school experiences and see if the show can get them correct or what they did differently. First of all, my school didn't have hall monitors. In fact, we actually had police officers to guard the halls during class hours. Knowing what I know about the horrors of today's world in school and the tragedies in school this year, I don't think schools have police officers anymore. At least not all of them. And if they do, they're not doing their job correctly. Also, why did Lynn become hall monitor before school started? Seems off to me. Secondly, I take safety seriously. So seeing Lynn do this isn't just annoying, it's distasteful. And it can be outright dangerous.
This isn't even my locker!
This isn't even my juice, but you don't see me complaining.
You know, like how when Lincoln even tells her that he needs to go to the nurse, he just says,
No one's above the law, stinking.
tell that to tech companies.
No throwing juice in the halls!
I guess now is as good a time as any to talk about this problem that I have with Flash shows, the facial expressions. I'm getting sick of these wacky faces! Because hand-drawn animation can make it feel more free, more fun. That's why I'm glad SpongeBob, even in 2022, is still using hand-drawn animation. This problem with Flash also happened with My Little Pony, and Bronies even got on my case for it. It was good in episodes like Party of One and Lesson 0 because of how rare it was. Then Season 5 onwards, because they got a higher budget, they felt the need to do more expressions, a lot more. Sometimes it worked.
Quiet!
But a lot of times it felt out of place. The most notable one with problems is A Trivial Pursuit, where people care more about Twilight making "whoa, funny faces" than her ruining Pinkie Pie's friendship where she lied to her just so that Twilight could win the game, and Twilight never told the truth! And that's what I feel like the Loud House is doing. At least My Little Pony got some good faces in its lifetime, not the Loud House. Third and finally, Paramount has done this plot better before a few times. SpongeBob was able to do funnier hall monitor jokes despite him not being in school. Jimmy Neutron is a better hall monitor asshole because he learned his lesson at the end, plus told funny jokes along the way.
I miss my music.
But Eric Cartman, of all things, is the best hall monitor. He starts off mocking them.
Just doing my job. I'm just... You know why you're a hallway monitor? Because you don't have any friends. You should kill yourself. You should kill yourself.
Only for him to be a serious badass when he becomes one.
Hall pass! Show me your hall pass!
And the only reason why we decided to root for him was that he stopped a teacher that was being inappropriate with Kyle's little brother Ike. Eric did something nice for his quote-unquote mortal enemy. For no reason. And Eric didn't even want anything in return. Eric was actually that nice.
Wow. I think I owe you one, Cartman. You don't owe me anything. My hallways are clean.
It's really sad when Eric Cartman is less of an asshole than Lynn Jr. Who am I kidding? Every character on this show is an asshole. Even Lincoln. When he's not a torture-porn character, he becomes an asshole as of Season 5.
Or we could just hide him in our attic?
Oh, I was wrong. Yes, people, I can admit when I am wrong. Lincoln became bad in Season 4, and I'll get to you in the future. Yes, children, hide a body in your attic away from authority figures. In many very uncomfortable ways. SpongeBob's Nasty Patty and Family Guy's Lois Quagmire are way better versions. Because they didn't injure/kill the person in question while you guys did! So now I'm all like, great, now I'm rooting for no one. Hi Guy and Spice had more likable characters than this. 3 is more than 0. The sisters are actually dangerous.
All I see is black!
That was just from an argument in the car over what song they wanted to play. Why did this show get higher ratings than SpongeBob again?
Hey, Mommy? Weren't you supposed to be talking about Lynn Jr. here?
I have been.
No! You just keep going off topic and focusing on other random points.
You want me to get back to Lynn Jr.? It might be best for you to not do that.
Yes!
I'm the principal!
Then you should know better than anyone that you need a hall pass.
Huh?
Oh no.
I warned ya.
How can Lynn disappear in a locker like that?
This show doesn't care about anything. I think I'm done here. Ready for Lincoln Loud?
Yes!
And now, we get to the main plot of the special.
Hooray!
So the actual plot of the episode starts with Lincoln trying to get to the bathroom, with 3 of the sisters fighting each other to get in. You'd think a house of 13 would have more than just one bathroom. Like, I currently live in a house of 3, with 2 bathrooms. And if we have to take turns using the bathroom, I do not want to know what a house of 13 is like. Oh yeah, the parents tried to add a second one, but knew that their children would ruin it. Knowing this show, I don't blame them.
So nothing can go wrong. Ah! If I make it out of here alive.
This was another line that people got on my case for. I still don't get the defense for it. This show has a lot of dark, sadistic, soulless shit. I call it humor, but I think that laughing at a funeral would honestly feel more appropriate. Speaking of funeral jokes, I need this to cheer myself up.
And they say that
I win!
With a show like this, I actually do think that the sisters would kill Lincoln! If they had an episode the season prior to this with an innocent man that the sisters injured of their own accord shot through the roof of the van, then anything goes. Wait, how did they not get arrested in that one? It's awful and illegal.
Your dad worked all morning on a special family meal, and we are going to enjoy it together. Can you spare a minute?
59 and 60.
Where's the heart?
Aren't families supposed to get along or something like that? Oh yeah, I forgot what show I was watching for a second. And I thought my own real-life family was shit. Maybe that's what this show goal is. To showcase how bad a family could really get, and that I should be happy with the family that I got. Well, mission accomplished!
Guys, there's nothing to be nervous about, especially since we'll all be together in Mrs. Salter's class.
I thought that at first when I entered middle school. Then it ended up being the worst 3 years of my life.
This is it, middle school, and we'll make this day look easy.
Oh, I forgot to mention, this episode is a musical, kind of. It's got 2 songs, and they're both shit.
I miss pizza day already.
But don't middle schools serve pizza? At least mine did. Not all the time, and it wasn't that great. Then again, I didn't like pizza in middle school, so I'm not one to judge.
Hey guys, I'm Mrs. Salter.
Nope, my school didn't have fruit bars or arcade machines.
Say you turned in the form! Say it! I did! See, there's a check mark. It's not a check. That's a flippy stain!
Wouldn't it be funnier if Lincoln was like, I turned this form in here! And then Clyde would have been all like, you mean that paper that you're holding now that you were supposed to give to the principal over a week ago? Plus, we didn't see any flippy drinks in the episode, so the joke that we actually got sadly has no connection.
The trailer?
Here's a juice for the road. It's quite a hike.
Nope, all my classes were near each other in middle school. Same building, same floor.
Okay, listen up. The name's Bull Hoffner. I didn't spend 15 years in the military to be pushed around by a bunch of chuckleheads.
Honestly, I didn't have any bad middle school teachers. The worst I had were old bags and teachers that yelled at me. But that's because the class misbehaved, not me.
I wondered where I left my pudding cup. Thanks for finding it for me, Lincoln Lame.
Oh, of course, the episode gets that right. Middle school students were the worst! I honestly am glad the worst I get nowadays is trolls I can easily block. Imagine me dealing with these trolls that I get nowadays every day, but no way to block them. That was middle school for me. Everyday trolls that I could not block and always won.
Meryl, did I not stress to the lunch staff not to serve meatloaf on Tuesdays? That's what I make for dinner. I can't have it twice.
Except that you can. It's very easy to eat it on the same day. But to be fair, it's better to eat foods that coordinate with the day of the week. Instead of eating meatloaf on Tuesday, you should eat it on Monday and call it Meatloaf Monday. And have Taco Tuesday, and Waffle Wednesday, and etc. Hey, if the episode wants to talk about this stuff, then so will I!
So I pulled some strings and I found a way to get you what you want. Because you'll be attending a new school! It's just across the river.
Wait, what?
It's in Canada!
I'm such a idiot!
So, let me see if I can process this. You couldn't get Lincoln to a different classroom in the same school, but you could make him go to another country. Show, don't tell. Please show the sizes of the class to see if this is believable. Because going to a different country is harder to believe than switching a class in the same school.
But
I cashed it in, so this better be worth it, Loud.
Blackmail! Thank you, Cleveland.
Wait, what am I thinking? Lincoln's parents wouldn't allow Lincoln to depart like this. They'd probably be angry and stop the school for doing this, and...
Rise and shine, Lynn! It's 4 a.m. You don't want to be late for your first day at your new school?
Oh, wait, I forgot. The quote-unquote experts are fine with this.
I can't. It's too early.
Yes, you can, duh.
Die.
Good luck, kiddo! Wait, your passport and your breakfast!
Even if I tried to pretend for a second that this wasn't in 2020 when Canada closed down their American border, it's not that easy getting into Canada.
What? I hate Quebec. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
You're gonna want to put those on.
Thanks, but I'm all set up.
Don't worry, you're gonna love love it here.
You know what's funny? Not the actual joke on screen, but the fact that in February of 2010, when the Winter Olympics happened in Vancouver, Canada, they didn't have any snow. Yet all 50 of the United States did at the time. Yes, even something like Florida. So no, Canada, you don't always have snow. Not even in the middle of winter. And now we get to the worst song I have ever heard. I would tell you about this music ranking that I once did called the Top 25 Worst Songs in Animation. It was #1 worst there. It would still be #1 worst. But that list was before I knew how to do better critiquing skills. So let's see how much better I can do now.
Welcome to Canada. It's a treat this time of year.
Well, this is bad, but I'm gonna need backup. Hey, Maddie, help me out here.
Where are you going? Fuck this shit, I'm out.
Great, I'm on my own then.
The Chinook winds are very, very extraordinary.
Obvious first problem. It uses autotune. Don't use autotune, ever. It's an admittance that you think that the person in question can't sing. Either tell the singer to try again, or get a different person. Because this autotuning option needs to stop. It's an automatic fail if you do it because most people that do this don't have the skill.
The hottest day is 10 below.
Canada reached 49 degrees Celsius or 120 degrees Fahrenheit just last year.
Your snot will freeze, don't blow your nose.
Can you please not have gross out in your songs? Heck, can you please not have gross out in general?
20 feet of snow, the 30 feet of snow, the 40 feet, the 50 feet, oh no, oh no, oh no!
Can you bring that snow to the west, please? They're in a drought right now.
The Beavers and the Lumberjacks both look the same to everyone.
That's racist.
A baseball team, but no one really knows.
Bruh.
It's C-N-C-A-A-A-A-A-A. Yeah!
I think we all owe King of the Hill an apology. Remember when we thought that was the worst ever treatment to Canadians from Uh-Oh Canada?
I'll invite the Canadians.
Yeah, I miss when that used to be the worst.
Well, Lincoln, I think you'll be very happy here at Mapleton.
But then they find out that Canada is being closed down! Seriously, the design for the principal looks like the nostalgia critic if he was drawn in this show. I'd pay someone for that, but no money is worth fan art for the show. Then again, fan artists could do a better job than this. Or they could, like, serve it in the cafeteria, eh?
Syrup for me today, please.
Lincoln Loud, in accordance with the Royal Canadian Maple Syrup Code, you are hereby booted from Canada.
Well, at least we won't have any future episodes with terrible Canadian stereotypes. I checked, there are none.
Is there any way you could turn down the temp in here?
Down the temp? Yeah, I don't care. No one's ever asked.
If kids dealt with the heat in real life like that, they would have asked that first! You mean to tell me that none of them ever asked the simplest of questions? You're in middle school now. You should at least have the basic knowledge of elementary school communication. Then again, even the adults my age kind of suck at communication, so maybe there's a silver lining. And then the episode ends saying that Lincoln is gonna get used to this. Why no one ever asked to turn the temperature down is because this show, despite starring children, has people that don't know how to write children. Thank you for watching. Rebecca Starlight, out.